Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖 Iyer. This is DGI episode 388 and I'm joined by my co-host 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪𝙥𝙥. Sridharji, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar, good morning to everybody, and happy to be here on this wonderful Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
And a happy Thanksgiving from our side also. By the way, guys, we are 2 for 2 in predicting what's going to happen in Pakistan. Asim Munir is the new chief of army. We had predicted correctly that Shahbaz Sharif would be the next prime minister after Imran Khan. So a little bit of bragging rights. That's one good reason for all of you to tune into PGurus. So please like this video. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications because we have some other big reveals. Sridharji, take it away, sir.
Good morning to everybody. And I think first and foremost, the markets were up for the past 2 days. The markets closed 400 points on Tuesday. The markets closed about 100 points on Wednesday on the back of two important drivers of news. One is the retail sales, which we said would be up. Walmart, Best Buy, what is the sporting good, Dick's Sporting Goods. So quite a few of those retailers not only came higher on the sales, but also forecast higher sales as they close the shopping year. That's the first piece of news. The second piece of news is that we said that we've been saying that there could be a little bit of a deacceleration in the rate of hikes, but the hikes will continue. And the Fed minutes reveal that there could be smaller hikes as the hikes move along. Both those sentiments were endorsed by the markets. The markets are up. So therefore, we were not the Looney Tunes trying to predict things in a wrong way. So we do our research and we are in the market, but there are a lot of people who think differently, but so be it. Well, S&P to start with, we had talked about year-end finish around 3900 to 3950. And we think that it is now it is up 4027. Expect some amount of here and there the blips, but we think that it'll finish around 4,000 mark. The most important data point is that what we do is we are not stock pickers, we are not broker dealers, we are not advising you to act on what we say. What we are communicating to you is what we call the macroeconomic parameters and what we see broadly in a global context, economic context, and how it flows into the markets. I think that's our general communication. The same thing applies whenever you see an uptick in the US markets, you see the flow and effect in the European markets as well as in the Asian markets. So you saw the DAX, the FTSE, and the CAC. The CAC remained unchanged on the European side, and the DAX was up on Tuesday, remained unchanged on Wednesday as the markets wrapped up there. And the Asian markets were up, both Nikkei as well as the Hang Seng Index. The Shanghai market is suffering a little bit of a downtick because of the COVID situation that is prevalent. So that's on the market side, generally positive sentiments. And most important other data point is that the oil prices continue to slide. The WTI is now below $80. And we'll cover this on Sunday markets, but it's important to point out the headline, as well as the Brent is around $84. This is way off from the 95, 96, which we just saw a few days ago. This is futures.
And as always, the price up will be very, very fast at the pump, but the price down will take its own small, slow descent. But that's how markets work. This is a democracy, capitalist markets. I'm not saying anything. Well, this is how things work. Let's take a look at what is happening in Arizona, California, United States. Yesterday, I hope many of you saw the Carrie Lake monologue that I had put out. In fact, I had put out a small video segment as to how voter harvesting might have taken place. I'm not saying did take place. Please watch my words. Don't jump on us. We are trying to be very factual. So please do watch that, because today what has happened is that the Arizona Attorney General candidate has sued over the midterm election results, and there are widespread errors and inaccuracies according to him. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Carrie Lake also has not conceded So we are waiting to see how things play out here. Now, the final tally now is inching towards 220 plus. For Republicans, it might stop at 220. We don't know because there are still some results to be announced. Sridharji, take it away, sir. What's happening in election? When are the Americans going to get their act together?
When are the Americans going to get act together? I don't know whether we'll ever get our act together because of a federal structure that we are prevalent. Each state has its own set of laws. Each state, would like to do their own way. That's the concept of a federal structure, which is why we remain technologically obsolete, for time immemorial. I think most important point that we need to highlight here is that there has been inaccuracies. Quite a few, at least 3 other states have come forward and indicated, some errors in omission and commission. The difficulty of stating anything in a much more advocacy way is that for being wrong or for being shouted that you are taking one side versus the other. But the fact that even in some of the Arizona state election results, the Republicans are contesting, which they should have gone their way. The Arizona Attorney General election, they say that there has been incorrect tabulation, there has been omissions, there has been voter disenfranchisement, which is people who came with valid IDs and so on were not allowed to vote. So there's been 2 sides. One is disenfranchisement, and then the other side is franchisement for illegals. I don't know what's the terminology for that. People with illegals with no IDs were allowed to vote. So you have not 1 or 2, about 16 different counties in contention just in one state. We have to get to Nevada and we have to get to the other states. Then it's, you are looking at a whole kind of Pandora's box. It's not going to be solved. I don't know whether we ever will get this act together. Now, Sriji pointed about voter harvesting. Now, the word that has to be used is legal, illegal. Now, voter harvesting is allowed. You can go and go to any of this. There are several places where people are, in community centers and old age homes and so on. You can say you are casting vote on their behalf, and you can cast your vote. I'm not saying which is illegal or illegal. The Republicans are saying it's time that the voter harvesting is done. Otherwise, you're not going to beat the Democrats. This is the Republican side of the view. But all this in a nutshell, we have a problem, and we don't know whether we'll ever have a fair and just election in the United States ever since the 2020 elections went awry.
And the problem is about to get bigger because in California also, there was a relaxation of a rule. They did not check the signature at the back of the envelope that contains your ballot. And this happened just weeks before we went to elections in California. So Mr. Gavin Newsom has now got excellent credentials to become the next president of the United States. God save America. Let's take a look at what is happening next. Sridharji, the Biden administration has done some interesting things in terms of adding more port terminals for oil cargoes. Let's take a look at this next video, and you can talk to that, sir.
Well, I think they're given the green light, much to the dismay of their green lobby, at the Freeport export terminal, which is in the Texas, which is in the state of Texas, just near the Persian Gulf, the Mexican Gulf of the Gulf, and they're adding 4.2 million capacity to this particular terminal per day. 4.2 million barrels a day they're adding, of which 2 million barrels per day is targeted for export. And they're also going to expand the capacity of the storage. All this implies that they pretty badly need some dollars, and they also are imminently committing to supply probably to few countries which are in very badly need of the shale gas.
And US-Saudi ties are under review despite the Saudi prince's immunity, says Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. This is this double speak again, Sridharji. On the one side, you say that the prince is not going to be held responsible for the murder of Adnan Khashoggi. I think it is Khashoggi. I'm sure of Khashoggi. I don't remember the first name. It could be something else. Any rate, but the point here is why this ambiguity? Why speak with two sides of the tongue, sir?
Well, I think yes. I mean, we have seen this situation. Not this the first time. President Biden says we are going to act tough on China. Right on the back, which is then Mr. Anthony Blinken saying, no, that's not what Mr. Biden meant. We just meant we'll continue to negotiate. The same thing happened on Taiwan. We will defend Taiwan, and then you have Anthony Blinken coming back and saying, the two China policy is one China policy, and we maintain strategic ambiguity. Now here comes the situation with regard to Khashoggi. And basically, he's the head of the state, so he is the prince. So therefore, we give him immunity. By granting him immunity does not imply, that it is open carte blanche as far as Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is concerned. So if you want to upset your neighbors and you want to create troubles, then the President Biden's administration is a pretty good reflection of where this is going. Remember, Biden went to Saudi Arabia and asked for OPEC plus increase in output, and he got a no and got back. Policies and statements such as what Anthony Blinken has made out is the exact root cause of this.
Sridharji, would you consider the firefighters of the New York City as Democrats or Republicans, sir?
No, I don't want to say that they are one way or the other way. You will find, but by and large, they happen to be. They would be probably on the Republican side. They prefer policies which are much more. We have to look at when I say Republican Democrat, we need to look at pre-Biden era and post-Biden era. There's a different situation. Yes, Shriji.
I was leading up to the statement that, dear firefighter family, brothers and sisters, your husbands, your wives, your daughters, your sons went up the World Trade Center knowing fully well they may not return alive. And this is how your country treats these people, the respect they give. That's my beef. They still have not been allowed to proceed legally against the perpetrators. How many? Majority of the killers on 9/11 are from Saudi Arabia. Why this special treatment? Why did Bush allow the family of Bin Laden to leave? Why could they have not been held here? All sorts of nonsense happened. It doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat. It was a deliberate question to ask you, sir, to say in the sense that the common person never gets justice. It doesn't matter whether it is America or India or any other country. Very, very regrettable. Let's move on to Asia news. ASEAN-led defense talks reaffirm norms for South China Sea at the ADMM Plus sessions. Foxconn iPhone plant in China rocked by new worker unrest as COVID cases rise across China. And Senator Harris completes, Vice President Harris completes her Asia trip after meeting with Philippine villagers and hearing from them of Chinese vessels infringements. So, Sridharji, there's a lot of stuff here. I'll allow you to take it away, sir, and talk to us about the maps and so on and so forth.
Yeah. At some stage, I'd like to take up on the firefighter side, but
no. Finish that, sir. First finish that, sir. No problem. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance there.
I think there's a much broader issue. One is we need to delineate between firefighters as well as the general justice system or the general political system as it works. The firefighters, they generally tend to be politically agnostic as far as saving the lives of the people are concerned. As far as the justice dispensation is concerned, it is the political system which plays football. It doesn't matter whether it is Democrats or Republicans. And I think both sides have. We still have one pending story as to how what happened post 2008, but we'll get to that and then we may be able to answer Sriji's questions as to what happened and why we are in the turmoil that we are in right now. but we'll reserve it for another day. But as far as the frontline forces are concerned, their whole goal is to save people. Doesn't matter whether they belong to one or the other, but they may make their political preferences depending on how they think the nation and their own state is going or their own community is going. I think that would be my kind of an observation, rather than saying one way or the other way. Getting back to the thing, the two important decisions why we have put up this map. We put up this map because there was just recently, just about a couple of days ago, a meeting concluded, which is called as Asia Defense Ministers Meeting Plus. It's called ADMM Plus. If you want to have one more terminology, you can have one more terminology. You can see Lloyd Austin there, and all this is ASEAN 10 defense ministers plus 8 invitees. That includes United States, Russia, China, India, Korea, etc., Japan, and so on. Why are they here? Because they want to discuss two things. At least they came up with a joint communique which says that they will try to follow the rules of the game and preserve the open trade in the South China Sea, and as well as to ensure that they are not going to create encroachment and sovereignty violations. Well, this includes Taiwan. Let's see, Xi Jinping was at this meeting. Why we are putting up this chart? We're putting up this chart. We have done an extensive DGI last year on the whole South China Sea and this the previous slide, please. The 5 line. You can see the 5 line or the 6 line or the red line. This is the China dash line. China believes that it has sovereign rights over this particular space. Now look at the number of disputes. You have Philippines, which is this little green line which comes from the Philippines. So Philippines thinks that is its maritime boundary. Then you have Vietnam. So Vietnam thinks it has a maritime boundary which is within the Chinese red line area. Then you come down, you have Indonesia and Brunei. Indonesia making a claim which is the light yellow line. Then you have Malaysia, which takes a claim across and gets it pretty close to the Brunei, all within the envelope of the red lines that the Chinese have drawn. So this is the spaghetti in terms of the border claims. We haven't even gone into the Taiwan Strait. We drew this chart prior, but we are redrawing this after the ADMM Plus meeting. The reason is that at least there's a joint communique. They will try to navigate this, but this is going to be a very tough situation, which the ADMM itself acknowledged that all you need is a little accident for a flashpoint and an event to unfold. And it is a problematic issue for the world to deal with.
Yes, indeed. And let's take a look at the next news item. And the North Korean nuclear game may be imminent, according to US intelligence sources, and appears to be an underground test as speculated. So, Sridharji, North Korea is well known. It's a vassal state of China. So is China still continuing to keep the pot boiling through North Korea, sir?
According to the intelligence reports, these fellows are not going to, Kim Jong-un is not going to listen to China. He has his own game plan, and nobody knows what his game plan is. It is China supplied. It is Russia supplied. I mean, probably it is also some other rogue nations which have supplied stuff to him. What exactly is his game plan? They're not able to guess. They don't believe that Chinese will be able to contain him. So I think that is the key message that is coming out on that front, G. Before we go, I want to touch on that Foxconn situation. So the Foxconn situation is that there is very mixed reports coming out. The Apple and the contractor is saying that within the plant, people are working and production is normal. They owe no money to anybody. They owe no money to anybody on all the dues, including overtime, bonus, etc., has been paid. These people who are engaged in agitation and all kinds of alleged activities, they say it is basically an advocacy, and their main claim is around payment dispute. Notwithstanding the worker restrictions on COVID, is the payment dispute. So more information is coming out. Now, one can make one's own inferences whether this is instigated because Foxconn is going to move much of its output operations, especially the I-14. I'm told that it is, good chunk is going to India and other places. So the story is this an instigated or truly that there is a problem of the workers being not treated well by Foxconn?
Well, we'll wait and see. This has been brewing for a bit, and we have been touching upon it. Now we know that it is out in the open. But China has a COVID problem again, and we'll touch upon that when we get a chance. Let's go to European news. Weapons industry booms in Eastern Europe as the countries pour weapons into Ukraine. Ukraine almost under complete blackout, with Russia taking out most of the energy infrastructure with weapon strikes. And Kremlin says that Ukraine can end its people's suffering by simply yielding to the Russian demands. 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙦, what do you think America is going to do next, sir?
Go on pumping more money, more aid, more weaponry to Ukraine. The Eastern Europeans are supplying arms. The Western European nations and EU is supplying money. And he continues to fight and he continues to make claims. I just don't think there's an end to this if this situation persists. Neither Zelensky is willing to concede, nor Vladimir Putin is willing to concede. And on either side, they have taken a brinkmanship position. So the people are going to be the football in across these two nations. We know nothing about the sufferings in Russia. We know that there's a problem. Apparently, most of the not only the electricity, but water supply and other civic amenities have been impacted across Ukraine. Russia says it didn't target civil infrastructure, it only targeted military, but the ground reality is different. And Ukraine may be paying the price for all the stuff for the attack on Crimea. Plus, there's also been another attack just off one of the oil rigs, which is guarded by the Russians, but we'll cover another day in the interest of again time.
And the European Commission is likely to recommend that billions of euros of the EU money be withheld from Hungary, judging that Budapest has failed to deliver the necessary reforms to ensure such funds are protected from corruption. Is it a shot across the bow on Orban, sir?
It is a shot across the bow because he's again, it's a barter negotiation. I think this whole EU is a smorgasbord of activities, and now the dissent and the discontent is kind of coming out. They wanted reforms from a transparency and much more open policies. There's a lot of favoritism, contracts being given to preferred political assignees or political alliances within the ruling party. Now he's openly said that he is against supporting. He's not in favor of supporting Ukraine. He's in favor of supporting Russia in this instance. So you have your EU coming up with a mechanism to kind of to say, hey, we're going to hold back. But according to the foreign minister of Hungary, they believe that they will be able to resolve this issue and move forward. But this is one more issue coming to the surface in EU, 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙦.
Yes, indeed. And we'll wait and watch that part. And now let's take a look at India news. India says that falling commodity prices can help deal with inflationary pressures. India also contemplates further exports of 2 to 4 million tons of sugar to add to the further boost in trade. 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙦, India cleaned up big on wheat exports, didn't they?
India did a tremendous job, 7 million tons. Prior years, less than 1 million tons. So they did a great job. They have been also doing great work on their food processing industry and some of the agricultural exports. They reined in on rice when the rice demand went up and there was production issues, the production capacity came down because of the monsoons. So they basically contained. But now they look like sugar. There's plenty of sugar and they're planning to add. So you can begin to see one of the questions people had posed was, how do you manage your huge for FX reserves, and how do you offset it against the growing deficit? All you need to do is go on exporting more and more and bring the deficit down. So your net deficit comes down quite dramatically. In the process, your reserves are adequate to meet any kind of contingent needs that you come up. So India is very closely managing this and seeing wherever there's an opportunity, and this is an example.
And India's coal production stands at 448 million tons as of October 2022, 18% higher production. And India plans to build stock at domestic coal-based plants to 30 million tons by November 2022 and 45 million tons by March 2023. Remember years there were, murmurs in some states that were not ruled by the BJP that the center does not release enough coal for their electricity plants. I think this is an answer to that. Sridharji, what do you think, sir?
Exactly, 17% they increased the production. Remember when this issue came up, we covered this. They basically came up with a whole logistical, some of the trains with additional wagons carrying coal to the plants, and they contained it, they addressed it in that manner. Now with coal production going up and much more mining licenses being granted, they are boosting up the production as well as the capacity in some of the thermal plants, especially for the kind of the winter season. There's another important message. India is now confidently dealing with coal as opposed to being constrained by these climate activists. Around the world, we have seen the resurgence. And this is probably, I'm not suggesting India is going off the track as far as the EPA is concerned. They're still very much on track. But when the world is short of power supply, they got to look at whatever is the best way by which they can meet their local demand. So this is an excellent move. And I think India is doing a very good job on this coal front, Sriji.
Sridharji, India tried to get its next nuclear power-based plant in a place called Kudangulam, which is in down deep south. And there have been so many protests, all engineered from people outside of India, for people inimical to India's interests. And right now, they were supposed to have 4 or 5 reactors. I believe only one is functional. The second one, they still haven't started it. So this is all Tamil Nadu government, which is just sitting with his thumbs twiddling. And they'll keep saying that we are not getting enough coal. So the amount of forces that are at work to disrupt India's growth are immense. On the one side, US wants India to be climate compliant. On the other side, money is coming from various countries. It's not it's not like US doesn't know of all this stuff. See, and it just let them be. They are finding their feet. They are growing. First solve our own problems here. Anyway, this is just my rant, sir. The Indian Navy is currently evaluating French aircraft manufacturer Dassault Aviation's Rafale M and US-based Boeing's FA-18 Super Hornet to augment its dwindling fleet of fighters, currently made up of the troubled Russian origin MiG-29 case. This is a big shift, Sridharji.
It's a very big shift, and they are looking at the aircraft which has got capacity to take off from its carriers. So clearly, the Hornets and the Rafale M's have met their criteria. I'm told that November 27th or so, the French defense minister will be in INS Vikrant, and first-hand gathering of the information and presenting, Rafale M capabilities. I am sure that we will have people from the United States coming across and presenting the Hornets as well. So what it means is that India is stepping up its efforts and augmenting and enhancing its platforms in a very clear and precise manner defined by its needs and security demands that is being placed as a result of Emperor Xi Jinping assuming power.
Sridharji, you asked whether there is a pattern of protests that is happening to hamper India's major infrastructure projects. I just talked about Kudangulam. There is another one called Sterlite. To the best of my knowledge, Sterlite is still closed. Guess what? It is also a port city. And now we are hearing that the seaport of Virinjam in Kerala, same kind of protest. And now another one in Maharashtra, Vadhavan. Sir, there is, I mean, definitely there appears to be a pattern in this, sir.
There is, because Vadhavan is the mega project. It will elevate India. This particular port will be one of top 10 container terminal ports in the world. Apparently, what they call the draft is the highest, and it naturally aligns itself to be a container port terminal. Adani Group is investing in this specific project, which will make it into one of the big container hubs, enhancing India's capacity, not only to store, but also to take stuff around the world as it builds into a $1 trillion export economy. Now, who would be the people who would be interested in stalling this? There are left-wing activists. I mean, if you want to know how interferences have happened, all you need to do is look at Europe. Europe is decimated as an economic power and going down faster and faster. We projected what EU will look like by 2050, and many of the EU nations, all because there are vested interests and vested groups, engaged in activities. It seems to be, I am told, as far in India, is in this Virinjam port, there's a big, what you call a shamiana, or a pandal has been built, where poor people object, preventing people from going to the port, engaging in the construction activities. And something similar is happening in Vadhavan in Maharashtra, where a mega terminal is going to come. So who would be the people who would be those that have no interest in the development of India? Remember what happened to when the Maharashtra government was involved in the,
𝙤𝙬 shed.
Yes, the superfast train. And
yes. Bullet train, yes.
Bullet train. Most of this seems to be political. So India's challenge lies not in all these external, but mostly lots of internal threats, which are coming, which seems to emanate very specifically targeted at core infrastructure projects, which will put India into the next realms as it expands into a $5 and $10 trillion economy. It can't happen overnight with the current status quo, Shriji.
Yes, indeed. And that brings us to a close of today's program. And please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. If you think you liked our research, consider donating using the super thanks button. Sridharji, as always, a pleasure having you, sir. We'll be back again during the weekend to cover up. We may have a special program on Saturday. We are thinking about it. We certainly have the content. It is just the research that is required to give you the top drawer quality program. Thank you once again, Sridharji. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving Day and happy holidays for the next few days, and good luck.